even though I'm live here to present the movies on radio segment. So it's a full house. Everyone is here. Frank is here, and then our own priceless Bunmi is also here. Good morning, Bunmi.
Good morning to you, Doc. Indeed, it is a creative Nigeria.
Yeah,
So
that's the creativity.
we must get creative on this show.
And of course, your sister Bella here.
Yes,
Of course, do the travel nugget. So, Doc, you have the show.
it's a full house.
Simple as.
So
go
over
on,
to you, Doc.
Yes.
All right, so it's a pleasure to be here, and then we'll be talking movies on radio, and this is a very unique part of the program. I mean, we must thank Frank Meke for making this possible. I mean, this is the first time I hear that we have a short segment dedicated to talking movies on radio. So, hello and welcome to the Movies on Radio segment of the Creative Naija show. We begin this week with the cheery news that the leading streaming platform, Amazon Prime, has finally released the much anticipated film by Bade Osiberu titled Gangs of Lagos. That movie stars notable actors like Toby Bakary and then Adesua Tommy Wellington. The movie, of course, talks about a group of friends who started their life on around the very popular area called the Saleko in Lagos. But just as that movie is getting rave reviews and getting commendations, the movie too is heavily criticized. There is a group, the Saleko descendants, who have threatened to take the producers to court for the wrongful depiction of the Eyo masquerade tradition. They have even petitioned the National Film and Video Censors Board, and they asked that movie be taken down because they depicted Eyo as a very scandalous and as a very violent masquerade. They are not the only ones who have complained. The Lagos State government, on their verified Twitter page, have also frowned at what they describe as cultural misrepresentation by promoters of the film. We have not heard any official statement from the promoters of the film, but you can be sure that on Creative Naija show, we shall keep you updated with the development concerning that film. So away from Gangs of Lagos, let us bring you the news. We told you last week that the Coal City International Film Festival begins today in Enugu. It's actually beginning this evening at 4 o'clock. And the opening film is Kamsi by Uzodima Okpechi. The festival runs till Sunday, and of course, I'll be leaving for Enugu after this program, and you'll be sure that we'll bring you highlights of that festival. This is what mainland 98.3 FM does with Creative Naija to bring you things that are happening even beyond Lagos. Let me also inform you that the 10th edition of the Paris domiciled Nollywood Week Film Festival is scheduled to take place in May 11th. That's one film festival about our industry that is taking place outside. Yeah, especially in Europe. And this year they have 9 films that will be showing in Paris. And these are some of the 9 best films that have come out of Nollywood in the last 1 year or so. So they'll be showing there. And one of the films that will be showing there is Obaram, which is one musical film that was done by Kayode Kasum. So the festival begins on May 11th and then it ends on the 14th. And finally, before I end, in May, we have one of the biggest festivals coming up in Cannes, in France, south of France. And Cannes Film Festival is one of the big 5 festivals that you have in the world. And they have just announced the opening film, which is Jean Dubarry, as directed by Ma Wen. And that film is starring Johnny Depp. So those who are going to Cannes in May for the Cannes Film Festival, we have the opportunity of seeing the world premiere of that film. The Cannes Film Festival again takes place from Tuesday, May 16th, and it ends on May 26, 2003. I'm sure I've done it. I beg you, 2023. Yeah. So that's it for this segment.
Yes, Doc, the Gang of Lagos. While you are reading out that information, over time, I think last week also have this issue, the Christian Association of Nigeria complaining
about the
some creative content
yeah.
and also I think I can understand. We need to be very sensitive with our culture because we use it to market our people and who we are.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, Doc, we challenge you to get the various parties to this place so that we can understand, so we can cooperate together. If where we make mistake, we should be able humbly to correct it because it's about our people, it's about our culture, and it's good to also rotate properly before.
Yeah. There are some people who have argued that the filmmakers have creative license. Yeah. But again, if you are exercising your creative license, there's no limit.
It mustn't be at
there's
the
a limit at
there's
the
an
expense of tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like saying, Frank, for instance, we know that the Ijele masquerade doesn't come out like that.
Exactly.
And then because you are a filmmaker, you now make an Ijele masquerade, the one that is chasing market women to collect tax. I mean, you have demeaned that mask. But I mean, these are debates that are going on, and let's see which part.
I think it also shows the growth in the system.
Yes.
So we begin to do self-check on regulation.
Yep.
Not until somebody will come and slam us.
Yeah.
We need to also say, no, this is, or ask people to look at it. People like you to come look at this film before we release it out. And if there are things we need to correct, we'll correct them.
Exactly.
So Doc, we challenge you really to look into this. Get those in concern, both state government, their spokespersons, the filmmakers, and let's sit together. It's not a war.
Yeah.
No. We just want to get it right.
We get it right so that we can, push out. And that's what we do here.
Yeah.
To get everybody on this board. So, Doc, thank you very much. Bunmi, I think we'll go back to you and then come to Bella. So we can go do with Bella, and we're not doing away with them.
No. Not at all.
Not at all. It's not that we needed to run with them because they're also very busy, so we can have other guests on the program. So, Doctor, that was a good one.
Thank
All
you very
time
much.
when you are here, I mean, we know we didn't make the wrong choice.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you for always giving us the way it is. In fact, you don't get it anywhere except on this program.
That's right.
Thank you, Doctor.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Doc, and we wish you safe travels as you go.
Yes.
Right. So, yes, you're still listening to Creative Nigeria, and Bella is up next because she's going to give us a few travel nuggets that will help us in our intentions to travel, or even if we even are on our way already, she'll give us some travel nuggets for today. So over to you, Bella.
Buongiorno a tutti, sempre Mariana. Bella Maria. So today we'll be talking about some travel nuggets. Last time we spoke about visas and all what you need to know before your trips, so that you don't get there and get into problems, because in terms of travel, you can also get into trouble traveling without knowing that. So we spoke about so many of them visas. Today we'll be looking at the validity, like we said, because I maintain that validity of the visas, because some people don't even know when this visa starts reading. Like some people get visa, you don't even open it and check when it starts reading and when it's going to end.
Expire.
Because I had somebody one time I finished and somebody was like, he got a visa, he didn't check it, he got to the airport, and believe me, most time those security checks and those airline officers may not even look very well to know if these visas have started reading, and they will let you go. You only get
destination,
not even destination, on transiting.
Wow.
And you get into trouble. And you cannot get to your final destination. Wow. That is why it's very, very important to look at the visa. Look at when it starts reading and when the visa expires. So on getting there, you will not be allowed to get into your final destination. You'll be subjected to get a new visa.
Wow.
Yes.
Right there at that place.
Right
on
there
the spot.
At the spot, Even when it comes to Turkey wouldn't even allow you to enter. You have to go back because there's no on e-visa for Nigerians. So you need to even go back to your country and do the proper processing of visa, which for me, anybody who undergoes
It's
such
avoidable
problem, I don't think you want to do that again. I don't even think you want to go back to that country again, because the trauma of coming back, because your ticket's already gone.
Sure.
Then going back again to process the visa is like a whole lot. So that's why that particular aspect of getting through your visas, as much as you are happy getting it, is very, very important. Very, very important, because it has happened to me. I got to, I think, to Frankfurt. And one of the airlines said, "Call me, Bella, please check if your visa has started reading." I say it has started reading because I know very well I cannot do that. I didn't look at your visa, it has started reading. I say yes. I knew it started reading before I embarked. So it's very, very important to know that aspect.
Yeah.
So can a visa, while you're processing it, it's on the table at the embassy. Let's say, okay, it got stamped today, and you have to pick it in 5 days' time. Okay. Does it start reading at some time?
No, it depends on the embassy. For example, the embassies are like most of the Schengen countries.
Yeah.
The visa start reading the day you want it to read. You know, in your application would have said, I'm departing on the 10th of May. So that is when the visa start reading. But in case of other ones like Turkey, once they give you the visa, it start reading immediately.
Wow.
Yeah, I still have my Turkey visa that expired yesterday. I'm not going to Turkey. Because it starts reading immediately.
The moment
so
they give
it
you.
is different countries, different expectations.
Yes.
And that is why it's very important to go through a travel professional so that they can advise you. People tend to, because you want to call corners or you want to do
safe calls,
and then you run into trouble. Bigger trouble than even that cause that same cannot handle. Bella, next week we'll try and look at how to fill the forms before you go to the embassy. It's crazy. I found out some people fail right at
the form filling,
at the form filling stage.
Yeah.
So it's also very important to look at that. So I want to prepare your mind for what you do in 2 weeks' time. Of course, there's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll look at it because a lot of people, right?
Yeah, it's an important aspect because so many people will be complaining, I have 50 million, I have 30 million. Why did they reject the visa? Sweetheart, you've made mistakes
along the line.
Okay, so there's one I even raised this morning with somebody, and they say, an embassy expects you to have photocopies of your visas, on your passport. It didn't say passports because I see Nigerians, some are laden with like 10 passports attached together, and you go to an embassy. I don't think they're interested in seeing those 20. They're saying the
just
visa on your passport.
And your travel history. When you get to any country, your passport is stamped, so you have the history. And also, very importantly, some people are denied visa for common mistakes. For example, you said you're a married woman, a married man. You don't put your marriage certificate. Nobody's giving you visa because you need to show them evidence that you are married.
Okay, we will talk about that.
It's getting more interesting.
Yes, so when we on this travel nugget and of course movie on radio, I'm very careful. Give them the day they take over all these things now. So Dr. Shuaib and Bella Maria, thank you very much for coming today. We hope to see you in 2 weeks' time, and I'm sure it will be more loaded as we always do here. Bunmi,
well, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we move into the very next segment of the show. Stay with us, don't go anywhere.
Fellow Nigerians, have you heard about NICO? National Institute for Cultural Orientation is Nigeria's cultural intelligence and intellectual powerhouse. Set up to X-ray the diversity of Nigerian culture, language, history, tradition and ways of life, which binds 200 million Nigerians together, deepening peace, security and national cohesion, with offices across the 6 geopolitical zones and a culture training school. NICO also partners local and international agencies like UNESCO to harness and validate cultural assets, unique and beneficial to a national aspiration. An agency under the Federal Ministry of Information, Culture and National Orientation. NICO Abuja office is located at 23 Kigoma Street, Wuse, Zone 7E. Website info@nico.gov.ng. NICO, harnessing culture for national development.
Ooh, you are the best. The very, very best. You make our world go round. This is why we'll always be your anchor.
At Anchor Insurance, we will always turn up for our clients when it really matters. We put in 100% because they mean the world to us. If you desire insurance services built around you, where claims are paid promptly, then come to Anchor Insurance.
Oh, you are the best. You are the very, very best. Oh, yeah. You make our world go round. And this is why we'll always be our anchor.
Anchor Insurance, where insurance truly works.
you for staying with us. This is still Creative Nigeria here on Mainland 98.3 FM. Just before we went on that break, during the break, you heard the Anchor Insurance advert, that beautiful, lovely advert. So we have joining us on the line, representing Anchor Insurance this morning, Mr. Olayode Sunday Abiodun. Good morning, Mr. Abiodun.
Yeah, good morning, madam.
Good morning to you, sir, and welcome to Creative Nigeria. We had a great time with you last week, and we are moving on this week. We're looking at fire insurance this week. So can you just educate our listeners this morning? What exactly is fire insurance?
Okay, yeah, good morning once again.
Good morning.
Yeah, fire insurance is a kind of insurance protection that you seek on your property. So it actually covers the financial loss which insurer may suffer due to destruction or damage to property or goods.
Okay, I guess you mean that this covers arson.
Yeah, assets. Yeah.
Okay, right. So, well, let's move on. What is fire, in the context of fire insurance? Because that was a question I meant to ask. If it is arson, that is deliberate, like criminal, a criminal act of setting a place on fire. So, what is fire in this particular context of fire insurance?
Okay, so according to insurance,
yeah.
So for fire is actual ignition of a property that ought not to be on fire.
Okay.
So when that is how insurance describe fire. So, and when we talk about actual ignitions, we think that the property involved must be damaged or burnt by fire. So this implies that if a property is being damaged by heat or smoke without actual ignitions, that
it's
means
not covered.
Such is not covered under fire policy.
I see.
Then it's equally important for us to note that the incident that gives rise to fire must be accidental in nature. That means it must not be a deliberate act.
Okay.
I will look at it this way. Ask this question from this perspective. If it also is deliberate, if the fire is deliberate, because, taking it from the perspective that, okay, you are not there when it happened. So somebody can come, ignite fire somewhere and leave. So how do you determine that it was not deliberate? So these are areas, yes. Okay. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm saying in excess is that when we talk about the fact that the incident that give rise to fire must be accidental in nature, what we are saying is that it must not be found that the insurer himself or herself intentionally put his properties on fire.
Okay.
Yes, somebody could put your properties on fire. That is equally covered. We call it malicious damage. A malicious act. But it must not be found that you put your properties on fire by yourself in order to be indemnified by insurance company.
Okay. Mr. Abiodun, thank you so much. We would like to continue this conversation.
Yeah, the truth is that we don't want to take everything at the same time so that it can sink in. You know, it's like we're creating awareness, you're educating people. Okay. It's like a classroom. So next week we may also need to come back to this so it can sink. You know, there's power and repetition. So that will help people to really understand. So you don't go take fire insurance and then you go and set your building ablaze and you expect that Anchor should pay you. So
they will not.
They would not. So it's very important that we look at all these things, and that's why we take these things bit by bit so that it can sink. So we'd like to, thank you, Bunmi. I would like, in fact, this aspect of this program that I enjoy so much.
Yes.
And I'm going to maybe next week also look at, because we have a lot of agricultural firms all over the place and all those things. Sometimes these things happen.
Yes.
So what happens when,
for example, in the dry weather?
In the dry weather.
Yeah.
So what happens? So we look at all those things by next week. Thank you, sir, for coming. I hope one of these days we'll not just be talking to you
on phone. We'll see you in person.
We're not the same person.
I'll be glad to be in your studio.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Abiodun, and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Yeah, but I think we just run through to weather.
Yes.
Let's take up the weather of today, and then we'll go.
All right. So today in our weather, in Lagos today, a thunderstorms and rainy weather are expected in the afternoon. So we are still in the morning. We're approaching afternoon. So we're expecting that in the afternoon. Minimal precipitation is anticipated for today. The highest temperature will be a tropical 33 degrees Celsius, while the lowest forecasted temperature is a moderately hot 26 degrees Celsius. Sunrise was at 6:39 a.m. and sunset will be at 6:54 p.m., where we have daylight lasting for 12 hours and 15 minutes. Wow, looks like we have to be ready with our umbrellas today, so get ready. But I need to just credit our darling weather girl. She put this together, and it's also coming to us courtesy of the Weather Channel and the Weather Atlas.
Bunmi, your weather girl, during the week, I think last week was her birthday. So
happy birthday, always Bube Sharon James. Oh, happy birthday to her.
Yes, so that's how we do. And then where are we rolling to now?
We take a break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we have a very special guest in the house. I mean, let me keep that in the cooler until we come back from this break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey Michael, you travel frequently and hardly complain of travel services. How do you come by?
I use the services of one of the best travel outfits in Nigeria, Heck Travel Agency.
Heck Travel Agency?
Oh yes, Heck Travel Agency takes care of travel plans, ticketing, insurance, visa, and provides pocket-friendly fares helpful in this new normal.
Really? What about holiday packages for families?
Trust Heck Travel Agency on that too. On request, the agency provides both local and international tourism holiday packages with detailed country situation reports, car hire, and hotel reservation.
Where can I locate Heck Travel Agency?
Very easy, my friend. Heck Travel Agency is located in number 2 Ibro Avenue, Rainbow Estate, Trans Amadi, River State. Telephone 0907 893 5167. Lagos office, Parkview Estate, Ikoyi. Telephone 0806 24 63292. Heck Travel Agency, always in touch.
Welcome back, and here is our culture, technology, festivals, travels, music, hospitality, business, movies, brown water economy, insurance news, and sports tourism, as edited by Frank Meke and sponsored by Heck Travels. President Muhammadu Buhari has notched up interesting travel miles in 8 years across the world, setting records on diplomatic shuttles, totaling about 90 trips to about 40 countries. Tuesday this week, the president left for Saudi Arabia for 8 days. He has been to the UK, United States, South Africa, France, Germany, China, Gambia, Ghana, Egypt, Benin Republic, and so on. Cinema owners and exhibitors are smiling to the banks as tickets sold to Nigerians to access and watch movie flicks ramped up to about 441 million naira for the month of March. Okpayemi Ajayi, chairman of Cinema Exhibitors Association, disclosed that about 174 and 71,000 cinema buffs were captured as visitors to the big screen during the period under review. In other news, the non-elective AGM of the National Association of Nigeria Travel Agencies, NANTA, comes up in Abuja, April 25th to 27th. That's this month. The association will also host hybrid tourism conference on Africa to Africa tourism in partnership with Ghana Tour Association and endorsed by South Africa Tourism. Speaking in Lagos yesterday at media conference, Mrs. Susan Akporia's President Nanta disclosed that while the AGM will dwell on issues of customer care and engagement, particularly on the impact of trapped funds of foreign airlines and tourism conference in Johannesburg, South Africa in the first week of May, is open to individuals, corporate organizations and agencies of government in core and related areas of tourism activities in Nigeria and Ghana. The conference shall be certificated and offering beneficial to further studies in the growing business of travel and tourism. Now, the Nigeria tourism laws may have dates in court soon, as the Social Development Secretariat of the Federal Capital Territory Administration has signaled interest to embark on registration and classification of tourism enterprises and related businesses in Abuja. Mrs. Hadiza Kabir, Mandate Secretary of the Social Development Secretariat of the Federal Capital Territory Administration on Tourism, says fees to register will not burden stakeholders. If the Federal Capital Territory makes good its position on the issue, it will ambush the ambition of NTDA laws, which empowers the agency to take a front lead on registration, classification, and grading of tourism enterprises across the country. Indeed, the caveat to work with states on this mandate is dead on arrival, as the Supreme Court judgment of 2013 on the issue noted that the Federal Tourism Agency is a busybody on the issue at stake, but should concern itself with facilitation of visitors to Nigeria. Well, that's the news as put together by Frank Meke. But there's so much to talk about. But I see here that we do have a huge component of the news on our tourism industry. And who better to talk to us about this than the president of NANTA herself?
Part of the reason why she's there is to also talk about this conference in South Africa of their AGM. But basically, let me run on the president's visit. Sometimes when the president moves across borders, it's also for a lot of benefits to our country. Some of them we may know, some we may not know. For instance, he was in Doha sometimes ago, and he was telling them, look, you need to lift this ban on Nigerians. Not that Nigerians don't visit, but we got to make your visa more accessible. And also, there are a lot of things that goes in. Of course, Ministry of Information, Foreign Affairs. Need to also begin to, engage in terms of practicalizing, operationalize information. Let me use that word. Because when you don't operationalize it, you have information, but you don't operationalize it. People don't really know the benefits of this global shuttle. So the president is not just traveling to have fun, but is trying to make sure that a lot of things that has to do with Nigerians, and other countries do it. I think the United States VP was in Ghana. It was in Africa.
Exactly.
It didn't come here. But so a lot of things when they come in some aids, look at how we can partner together. China is doing it across around. So those are basically. So today, like you said, Ms. Akora is here with us. She's yesterday, of course, there's a lot of engagement even on tourism laws. So we won't take that time. Let's just focus on what is happening at NATA AGM. I think this month, and also what is going to happen in South Africa. So let her give us a brief.
We haven't formally introduced her.
Well, she's on air already. I wouldn't say she came late, but you can see that even.
I'm right here. I am just right here.
I like that.
The two of you.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Frank. Uncle Frank, my big brother, everything put together.
So today, Bunmi, like you said, we're kind of entering into the tourism environment. A new government is coming, and of course, NATA is always taking that nudge and mileage. So first of all, I would possibly leave you to ask those questions, because I consider myself to be
part of them.
But,
yes, you are.
The truth remains is the AGM is non-elective. People ask, what is non-elective? What is elective? And all those things. And of course, like yesterday, when the president, a lot of people have been calling after and said, we were not invited. So the president is here.
She will ask those questions.
So some of the associations say, we read it in the paper, we read it in online. NATA did not invite us to their AGM. What is happening? So, Madam President, why did you invite your industry associations and all this? What is happening? I know you are not the chairperson of the AGM. But don't let me make an excuse. A leader is a leader.
Okay.
You're actually right, because at the end of the day is Susan Aporaye administration.
True. I
would take the cue from our former president Obasanjo when he was being asked by the media of some things that was not done in that mission. And he said, if I assign somebody to do the job and the person does not do it, what do you want me to do? Because I am not the one that will do all the work. Yeah, so that's on the lighter note. Yeah. But then again, it's still going to be my responsibility. And thank you for bringing that to the forefront. And I will make sure the committee, the chairperson handling the AGM, goes into action on that. It's not normal that NANTA does anything and do not invite industry players. I mean, it's not our style. It has never been our style. As the biggest single private sector association for the industry, we believe in carrying everybody along. Yeah, we are not proud people, we are very humble people. We believe in everybody sharing in our pains and in our joy. So the invitations will go out. 1,000 apologies for that. I guess it's because there's been so many things in our basket, actually. Everybody working on so many things, like the conference coming up. At the same time, our AGM. So please forgive us if we miss out some things. And for some people, if they don't get their letters, please, for my sake, forgive us. It's not intentional. It's never intentional. It was just an oversight. So the AGM, 27th of April in Abuja.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting one. And we're doing it differently. Non-elective, elective. We want those things to be a thing of the past. An AGM is an AGM where you come to give account of what you have done in 1 year. Whether elective or not elective, it shouldn't matter. It's opportunity for members to engage with their leaders, for members to get to hear directly from their leaders what they have done, because they have entrusted their business, they have entrusted their activity to us. So we need to give account. I see AGM more of being responsible, giving account of what you have been asked to do. I really don't see it as election, non-election. I know election sort of gives a vibes that I really don't like. But then again, it shouldn't be if you are doing what you're supposed to do. And that's what we want to take NANTA to, God willing. We don't want every elective AGM to be like what happens in Nigerian elections. It shouldn't be
a battleground.
No. It should be, a time to just come together and have fun and make the person that the people want win. And when that happens, we should all go back and work
together
immediately. So this particular one, it's normally our non-elective AGM is always 1 day, but this, interestingly, is from the 25th to 27th. So it's like a 2-day event, and we're going to focus on trashing the issues that we've been experiencing from last year, which is the issue of the strap funds with the airlines and how we have been treated. Is an issue of two elephants fighting and
grass
the grass that are suffering. And interestingly, we are always the one on the receiving end, maybe because we are downstream sector. Maybe we should even leave that status and come to the upstream.
All right. I think that's just take it as it is. The theme of that conference, people like to know what is that subject matter. Of course, I know one of the best brains, FCPC vice chairman, is coming as a spokesman for that day. But why South Africa? Why go to South Africa with your Ghanaian counterparts? For choosing. People ask. Yesterday I saw the journal, they were trying to tear you apart on that. But cleverly, of course, it's not a question of cleverly. You really have answered the question. But let's hear what you told them yesterday.
Okay, if we all remember, if memory serves all of you, if you remember, and that's another thing about Nigerians that we are trying to encourage them. We forget too soon. Once you are in a crisis, everybody is talking. We come out with the way forward. But once everything goes back to normal, we forget all the things we have done. If you remember, during COVID, there was this song that was sung by everybody, and it was very loud, looking inwards.
Yeah.
So for us, looking inwards as Nigerians, looking into the Nigerian tourism, looking into Africa as a destination. So that is us looking inwards. Europe was closed up to Africa. The America was closed up but Africa never closed up to themselves.
True.
Because we are a continent. But then, despite the fact that Africa did not close up to themselves, there was still no business being transacted because we don't have the culture of traveling within Africa and enjoying to travel within Africa. I came late because I was in the ABSTA, African Business Forum, as the speaker, and the airline representative said something. She said that they have noticed that their traffic for African destinations, especially the visa-free destinations, have increased massively. And this particular airlines, which is a South African airline, has actually also increased their African routes. Even in the midst of this trap funds and everything, because the airlines follow where the market is.
Exactly. I was going to say that was a direct response.
Exactly. So when she said that and it was my turn to talk, I was like, I'm very excited. This is coming from an airline. When you're doing something, you really don't know the impact of what you're doing. You can't really tell if you're making progress or not. But somebody else who happens to be the recipient is the one that will tell you are making progress. So what I heard from South African Airline today by the representative, Mrs. Kemi Lekebante father spoke, it shows that when we took off the baton during the COVID, immediately the COVID came down and we started moving. I started a campaign, and intra-Africa travel. And she has just testified that it is working. So to all NANTA members out there, let's not stop. And that is the reason why this conference is Africa International Conference. It's a conference that will never leave the continent. It will go around different African countries. It's just that South Africa was there and they offered to be the first country host. First host to host it. After South Africa, it will be moving from one African country to the other. And I pray that my beloved Nigeria would also be willing to come and host, because you have to be willing to host, because South African government is spending a lot of money on this conference. So any country hosting it must be ready to spend money on it. So if it's somebody said, well, I'm in Nigeria, why am I going to say, well, they have to be ready to host it. If they don't want to spend money to host it, sorry, it's not going to come to Nigeria. It will go to the country that is willing to host it. So that's what it is. But if Nigeria tells me they are willing to host it, maybe after South Africa, unfortunately they can't host it immediately because Zimbabwe is already on the line after South Africa to take it. So maybe Nigeria, if by the time they see what we are doing, they can take over after Zimbabwe finish. Interestingly, South Africa hosting is 3 years. So Zimbabwe can only host in 2026. Now Zimbabwe has not signed the contract yet, so we don't know how many years they will host, but it's a minimum of 2 years and a maximum of 3 years for any African country that is hosting. So if Nigeria is interested, they can be on the queue after Zimbabwe to be the host country.
Bunmi, I think we'll have a new government
coming in
by May, and I'm sure it's going to be a different thing that we have seen. Not just we need to look at Africa, the African economy, the African tourism economy, and see how we can move it here, because we need it. So now there's a new government coming, I'm sure, as usual, we'll bulldoze our way.
We will
continue. South Africa, please. Out of that, your 3 years. Let's also do the one first. Then you can take over that one. We're going to come back to NANTA President after this timeout with music segment, and we'll just look at it. Of course, it's part of Nigerian tourism economy. Music is very important, cultural music, and of course, selling everywhere. It's something that they try to sell. So, Madam President, just still wait. We'll come back to you, Bunmi. Over to you.
Our music segment. I always try not to pre-introduce it, so you will know it when you hear it.
kò sọ́gbọ́n tó lè dá kò síwá tó lè wù kò sọ́nà tó lè mọ̀ tó lè fi dáyé lọ́rùn o kò sọ́gbọ́n tó lè dá kò síwá tó lè wù kò sọ́nà tó lè mọ̀ tó lè fi dáyé lọ́rùn.
Right. So, do I do a brief interpretation of that?
Everybody knows that's a business of big.
Yeah.
So, please let me win the prize.
Okay, the prize goes to you, Frank.
Okay.
But yeah, why Kosogba Toleda?
Yeah, it's human nature, really.
Yes.
That sometimes you can't satisfy everybody.
That's
right.
right.
So you need to focus on what you know you are doing. Maybe later they could see reason. So you don't need to find anybody who disagrees with you because Kosogba Toleda and nothing. There's no way you can even try to navigate through processes that will sit well with some people. So all you needed to do is to stick to what you believe is good, particularly if it's a legacy that can benefit my country.
Absolutely. I have a feeling that's how Madam President feels
that's
this
why
morning.
we use
because that was a crusade. I tell you, it was a crusade you started in 2020, and it looked like it wouldn't even fly.
Exactly.
But look at us down the line.
Down the line. You see, like I always say, I heard from a very wise person that says, you know what? To dream is free. So just dream it.
And keep dreaming.
And just keep dreaming. You are not being paid for it, so it doesn't cost you anything. One day, those your dreams might begin to become a reality. Martin Luther King dreamt.
Yes.
He never saw it. He
That's
had died
true.
and gone.
Yeah.
Years after, his dream eventually became a reality. But when he dreamt it, the good thing is that he came out and said it.
Yes.
So nobody can deny that he had
came
that
from
dream.
him. Yeah.
It came from him. So he came and said it. He said he doesn't know how it's going to be, but I have a dream that one day. He never saw that one day, but we saw it and we remembered Martin Luther King said it. So I always say too, I have a dream that one day Africa will become a world power.
Yeah.
And we in tourism, we are pushing it from the aspect of tourism. They say sports is a unifying tool, especially football. Not all sport.
Not all.
Football particularly, they say is a unifying tool. When you are in the stadium and watching football, when I was at the World Cup, I'm not much of a football fan, but my darling Bunmi, the vibes and the electrocution in the stadium. I didn't know when I was on top of my seat and shouting. And I'm like, I wish my husband can see me. And the question he will ask me, when did you start loving football like this? And my answer will, I don't love football. But there's this energy that you couldn't but join in. Guess what? A more unifying factor for the world, for Africa, number one, and the world is tourism. It unifies more than anything.
I believe you.
Because football is just for that moment. Once the game is over, they've come back to being their individuality. But tourism is for a lifetime, because tourism makes you understand your neighbor. Tourism makes you know the culture of your neighbor. It's welcoming. I know one of the things that leads to misunderstanding, that people start quarreling, is lack of knowledge.
I tell you,
lack of understanding. If you understand my culture, you will not do what will offend me.
You tolerate me better.
Exactly. You will tolerate me better because you understand where I'm coming from. And that is what tourism gives to us. So tourism is actually a universal unifier. It's not just football alone for a moment that gives you that vibes. It is a universal unifier, and that is why I'm not going to rest. I will finish as Nanta president. I just have a year and 6 months to go, no doubt. But on my individual capacity, and my services will still be available to Nanta. I am a Nanta member and will always be a Nanta member. Even if I am not the president of Nanta, I would open-heartedly, with warm hands, give my services to whoever is going to come in. If they decide to continue with the agenda, I will be there to support every step of the way. And if they decide to kill it after I've left, I will take it up personally, because it is my dream and nobody's going to kill it. I just gave the Nanta the platform to execute my dream.
Exactly.
If they're willing to continue to run with it, I am there to support. But if they don't want to, I'm going to run with the
gauntlet.
dream.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, if Susan is so passionate about this stuff. So sometimes when I have her here, I need to create a lot of time, so that we can listen to her. Well, time. Bunmi, it's never a friend on this bit. So what will we do? South Africa is when? This conference is when?
Well, from the 4th to the conference itself, which is the training day, is 4th to 7th. Yeah. Then from there we'll be moving to the Africa Travel Ndaba. 8 to 11. So the entire thing is from 4th to 11th of May.
All right. So now that everybody knows about that, and it's open to everybody, both individuals and everybody, so you can come to the conference. Of course, the faculty is from the University of Joburg.
Exactly.
And so it's a good conference outing. People should learn more about this business, and of course, the sensitivity is very important, so that we should not be disguised. We have about the Gang of Lagos here now, so we try and see how we can be more sensitive to our culture in terms of when we're using it as a marketing tool to also create an economy, to also unify our people. I think it's on this call, Bunmi. We possibly will be calling it, but we need to have Susan on the other side back on this program.
Yes.
Because No Nigeria is sponsored by her company, but she's offbeat for a while. Now that she's here, is it blackmail? No, so
it's opportunity.
It's opportunity. So Topaz has to be back here
to
take No Nigeria.
Yes.
Bunmi, do you agree with me?
I fully concur.
Okay, so you win the prize. So I say
this
goodbye.
This is a setup. But then again, I mean, you guys are we've grown beyond just friends and colleagues to families.
Yeah.
So it's a welcome development anytime, any day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So on that score, Bunmi, for me, I'll see you next week.
Okay, from me as well. Well, we wished you happy Easter last week, but we're still in the spirit of the Easter season. So happy Easter one more time.
Yes, and now that Susan is also here, maybe we will do Easter now.
We should do.
Yes.
So let's listen to Obey now.
Yes, and just say bye bye. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.